So many people, including me, have the things that they desire that are present in energy, but they're doing something subtly in the wrong direction that keeps it from actually appearing physically. Because this process is delicate. The creative process is delicate. And if you're off just a little bit in what your attention is on, what you're focusing on, or how you're feeling, you can resist it just enough that keeps it from materializing physically.
Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com. We are exploring the mystical side of life once again this week. If you enjoy our conversations, remember to subscribe, share with a friend. Today, we have channeler Benny Ferguson with us. Benny channels a group collective called Abraham. Welcome, Benny.
Awesome. Thank you, Linda. It's exciting to be here.
Well, I'd love to know how this door opened for you, Benny.
Wow. Well, that's a good question. I listen to channeling also, even though I've channeled for over a decade now. And many of our stories are the same. I started, my family is still deep into religion, and that's fine now. It used to be a challenge for me, but it's fine now because, people are where they are. And to many people, it's to their benefit based on where they are on their journey. So I understand that now, and it's fine. But from a very early age, I saw challenges with the idea of unconditional love and how God was being portrayed and how that went along. And if I'm not mistaken, I feel like it was like right before I started school, I heard an explanation of it and how God looked at children, and it just didn't sit right with me. Moved from there, early elementary school, I started having nightmares, or what I would call then nightmares, where I know now it's like the sleep paralysis. I had a dream where something was behind me and I'm trying to get away from it. And, I always wake up scared, but now I tell myself, when I tell people, I say, now I would turn around and ask, okay, what do you have for me? What do you want to tell me? But early elementary school was scared. It was a nightmare. Fast forward to being married, working, trying to work, trying to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to be in business for myself. Ever since high school, I've been trying to be in business for myself. At that point, I was working in financial services. I was licensed to do insurance, do investments, all of these things. And I worked closely with our office vice president and the gentleman that was training me, who were doing very well financially. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't perform the way they were performing. I knew everything that I needed to know. I've always been an excellent learner. Knew everything I needed to know, but couldn't get myself to perform. So one day I was coming back from the office. I was just so upset with myself, and I was screaming at myself. I actually started crying, asking myself what was the matter with me. Why couldn't I do the things that I knew I needed to do, just get myself to do them? And probably a couple of weeks later, I had a nightmare. But right before I woke up, I told myself that I was tired of being afraid. And when I woke up, I was in a full-blown anger rage. And right now, I can feel what that felt like. It felt like fire was coming off of me. And I was standing beside my bed. My wife came around. She was asking me to calm down and all these things. It was about 1:30 in the morning. And just like that, I was outside of my body. I was behind my body. My vision was 360 degrees, but I was focused on my body. I was behind my body. I could see myself. I could see my wife in front of me asking me to calm down. And what felt like for a long time, and I know it was like a split second, and that's kind of what started it all, that experience, because I know I was awake because I was so angry. When I popped back in my body, I turned and I hit my hands on the bookshelf that was beside me. And so, the next few days, my hands were still hurting. So I knew it wasn't a dream. But that's what kind of got it started as far as me beginning to explore and trying to figure out what was wrong, what happened to me, right? And I couldn't find what happened to me in the Bible. So the religion that I had learned and everything, that kind of got pushed to the side. But religion was my spiritual thing. So I looked at everyone else's religion, the major religions of the world. I didn't find what happened to me, but I did find the parallels, because I wasn't looking for what was wrong with every religion. I was looking for what happened to me. So in turn, I saw the parallels in each religion. And I was like, okay, wow, they're kind of saying the same thing when you take out the traditions and the demographics and all that stuff. So that was interesting. In 2012 is when I first started channeling, when I realized I was channeling. And I wasn't channeling Abraham at the time. I know that, but I could feel the vibrations at night or before I got up in the morning. I could feel vibrations, felt like they came on my body, and I could perceive the information coming. So it was a time after that I said, okay. And I was listening to other channels, and I said, okay, so let me see if I can get this down, what's being communicated. So I sat in front of my computer and I tried to start typing, and I got better at that. And then I said, okay, well, let me start seeing if I can speak it. And so I just kept working, and I got better at that. Looking back, I noticed that I had been channeling for a while. Well, I have been being communicated to for a while. Linda, when I was in college and I would do research for like papers I had to write, I would get all the information. I would have all of the stuff, but I couldn't ever write the paper until like the night before, late at night. And interestingly enough, it would be 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting at my desk needing to write this paper that's due the next day. And it would all come to me that night. I'd write the whole 3, 4, 5 pages in one night. And I was being supported then. The way it happened and the way I channel and can write now, it was happening then, and I didn't realize it.
It's so interesting because you didn't actually have a conscious desire to become a channel. It's more like channeling chose you.
Especially growing up in the religion that I was in, nothing like that is even spoke of. So it kind of had to, I was having the dreams. When I was in college, I would be asleep and I could see my roommate, and I'd be trying to wake myself up, but I couldn't get my body to move, but I could hear and see. These type things have been happening for years, trying to urge me along. And, now I know that I have done this before. This is not my first time. This is not my first lifetime doing this.
Now, you channel Abraham. This is the same collective that comes through Esther Hicks. Different focus for you, though, correct?
It's similar, but what they told me was that, Esther's been doing it a long time. And they started off talking about the law of attraction, and that kind of got everybody's attention. But the law of attraction, that idea, it plays itself through everybody's life, but it's also, if you want to say, a surface idea. Because once you understand that that's happening, then you have to go to the place of, okay, how do I fully engage it consciously? And that's more so our focus and what we talk about and how we serve people. The play and practice. We don't like to say work, but the play and practice that you have to engage to truly become not just a conscious creator, but a powerful conscious creator is understanding the how and why and beginning that play and practice. Being aware of your vibration, beginning to master that so that you're consciously intending who you are vibrationally, mastering and getting control of the contents of your mind. Those two things put you working at your foundation all the time, but it's a process and you have to stay at it. It's just like building a muscle, right? To get beyond the conditioning, to get beyond the programming that's already established itself. The ideas, low vibrational ideas that's being perpetuated in the mind of humanity, you have to begin the process of letting that stuff go and sowing things that align you more with what you want and who you intend to be, which at the same time brings you closer and closer to the truth of you and source.
So the messages that have come through, would you say that it's our choice that is probably the most powerful gift we're given?
Choice as in like free will, or choice as in choosing what you want to create or who you want to be?
Well, those are both kind of the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
So what I'm referring to is that when someone wants to change their mind or change their thinking, release their emotions, that it's the choice that is the most important part of any of those processes.
Yes. It's realizing that you have a choice. And one of the first things is realizing that whatever place you're in now, whether it's good or not so great, you've been conditioned to it. until you understand that you have been conditioned, and you can begin to choose in what space you want to be in, right? Whether it's relationships, financially, in your job, as a parent. Understand that whoever you're being now and whatever your experience is, you've been conditioned to that. You're probably playing out the exact same ideas that your parents did, or those you grew up around that you were close to. In large part, subconsciously, you're the same person because you have the same ideas. But once you understand that, now you can begin to choose. If this is not the way you want it, you can begin to make the shifts. And it's an internal shift. It's all an internal shift.
And of course, there's a collective choice or collective agreement too.
Everyone that you are around, even the people that you grew up with, they are collaborative components of yours, and you are a collaborative component of theirs, right? So there's no mistakes. Everything is perfect. They're collaborative components of what you're expressing, and you're a collaborative component of what they are expressing, until you're not, until you begin to be intentional about who you want to be and what you desire to create, versus reacting to experiences, which is in a sense reacting to those and what they are expressing around you.
Reacting to what we think is true or real, which isn't necessarily so.
Because everything that, think about, we have 5 senses. We have senses that we use to interpret the experiences or the things that are constantly materializing outside of us. Question is anything that materializes outside of us a cause, or is it an effect, right? This conversation, when we finish this conversation, it's going to be history. Matter of fact, the words that we spoke 2 seconds ago are history. So those words weren't the cause. They were an effect, right? So once you understand that, look inside, keep going backwards. Okay, so where's the cause? If the person that cut me off in the parking lot is an effect, what's the cause? And just keep working your way backwards. And if you keep working your way backwards, you'll get there. You'll find the cause. And then once you find the cause, begin working there with everything. Begin working there with everything. Begin to be intentional. Understand that everything has a vibrational and energy expression first, before you can see it physically and interpret it with your senses. Then you start tapping into your true power.
So sometimes I look at the universe as being this incredible, magical tapestry that rearranges itself depending on my choices and the choices of those around me that I am collaborating with or in agreement with. And that if I can change my mind about something, the whole picture, kind of like a string is pulled out of that tapestry and the whole thing unravels into something different.
Yes. Yes. And you can do it. And there are 2 foundational fronts that you can do that. You can do it mentally by changing the ideas, and the ideas affect the other one, which is your vibration, or you can affect your vibration, and your vibration will affect your mentality, your mental frame, or you can affect both and speed up the process, which is what we work to support people with. Affect both. If you affect both, you accelerate the process, right? The mentality, the ideas, your dominant ideas, unconsciously, subconsciously, whichever one you want to say, or your vibration. You change everything by just, feeling good sounds so vanilla all the time, but it really is powerful, because when you say feeling good, most times that's a step up in vibration from a person's normal walking around state. Then you can start talking about, okay, excitement or exhilaration. And if your vibrational expression undergirds your experience, if your vibrational expression, if you change it, right? Most of the ideas that we carry in our mind and body are born of a certain vibration. Think about all of those types of ideas before we knew we were creating, before we knew we had been conditioned. They're mostly born of low vibration. You know, we're looking for what's wrong. We're defending against what's wrong. We're quick to get upset at things versus having a perspective of, okay, with understanding. When you shift that vibration, it starts to unravel things. If you hold it consistent, see, that's what we don't do. We're not consistent. We don't consistently stay in a good place, in a feel-good place, much less an excited or exhilarating place. One of the examples that we use, if you've ever ridden a roller coaster, you know, the beginning of a roller coaster, it goes up to the peak and then it drops down to pick up, to accelerate, to speed up. And in that free fall, it's like that feeling, that exhilaration that goes through your body. Now imagine if you understand that your vibration, your energy signature undergirds your experience. Imagine walking around in that. If you could walk around expressing that exhilaration, what your life might be like. But nobody's consistent. If you're consistent, if you can begin to be consistent at really paying attention to how you feel and keep stepping it up. Every time you think about it, step it up, step it up. Eventually you will get to a place where you actually can walk around in that exhilaration over the course of the day, but you have to understand that your body's not used to that. So you have to train your body. This is a conditioning of the body to be able to express those higher levels of frequency consistently. And in doing that, your body changes, right? Because of the frequency that you're offering. It has to. Every cell, every particle, everything has to change. Your physical appearance will change based on the frequencies that you're offering.
Do they give any suggestions to people to lift that vibration or that emotion? Because sometimes, you know, people get pretty low and it's really hard for them to reach for something more positive.
Lifting your vibration is the easy part. Lifting your vibration is just a matter of what you choose to think about, right? But it's not easy when you've already gone to a place, right? This happened and I've gone to that place to where I'm upset or I'm frustrated or I'm feeling stressed. Well, now it may take a minute for you to get out of that. What people try to do is they try to get themselves out of it by continuing to think about the issue. You don't get yourself out of it by thinking about the issue, because at the root of it, you're trying to change how you feel. If you change how you feel, then how you're perceiving the circumstance will change. So you don't get out of it by focusing on the issue. You get out of it by thinking about something completely different. Go to the beach, go to the mountains until you feel differently, and then turn around and look at the problem to try to understand it and come up with a solution, because you can't come up with a solution in the same feeling of the problem. That's why you hear people talk about going on a walk. They're trying to figure something out or a new strategy or something, and they've been there all day and they can't figure it out. Nothing's working. Nothing's coming together. And so they go for a walk or they go do something completely different from what they're trying to figure out. And while they're on the walk, the aha moment. All of us have had aha moments. The aha moment was able to come through because you were in a different feeling place.
So true. Analyzing the challenges we've had in our past and why things happened, it never resolves it. It just kind of pulls us deeper and deeper and deeper into that pit of trauma or resentment or whatever emotions are in it. And it's so fascinating that we keep thinking that if we think about it more, we'll resolve it. And it's the total opposite.
Right. Have you ever had and most people have, you've had someone around you who was trying to do something, or they were trying to create something, or they were trying, they were trying to figure out how they were going to get some new furniture or something, right? But they didn't have the money or whatever. And then they got to a point where they said, you know what? I don't care anymore. I don't care. I'm just going to, whatever. I don't even care anymore. And then within a week, 2 weeks, it shows up. It's because they let go. They let go. They got out of that low vibrational feeling place of, I don't have it and I can't get it, but I really want it. And it's a letting go, no longer offering the resistance to it. And even in those moments, they didn't really move to a place of excitement. They just let go of all of the resistance that they were offering. And the focus had built it up in energy so big that when they let go, it showed up, right? It's always about the energy. Alignment is about the feeling state. It's about the energy. The absence of a thing feels one way. The presence of a thing feels another way. Which one aligns you with it? The feeling of its presence or the feeling of its absence? And this is not new. Everybody that's listened to this, I know has heard this before. But it's about really zeroing in and playing with trying to stay in the right emotional, vibrational space.
I think you're right, too, that even in just the releasing opens up the space for something else to come, even if it's not a conscious creation that you're bringing that energy in. Just having the space allows something new and better to come in.
Because think about it, you've done everything right up until that point. You've applied the focus, you've applied the desire, you have been intent on the thing, but you've been subtly out of alignment by offering the wrong vibration, right? Although you've been focused on the thing. If we just go back to the furniture, you've been focused on new furniture, but you've been out of alignment with it vibrationally. So it's like it's there in energy because you've had the idea. It's there in energy. It just hasn't made it over to a physical experience for you because you're actually resisting it vibrationally. So many people, including me, have the things that they desire that are present in energy, but they're doing something subtly in the wrong direction that keeps it from actually appearing physically. Because this process is delicate. The creative process is delicate. And if you are off just a little bit in what your attention is on, what you're focusing on, or how you're feeling, you can resist it just enough that keeps it from materializing physically. It's delicate. It's delicate. And that's why it's important to understand the process and play with it with things that don't really matter before you try to apply it to those things that are really important, like money and like the relationship that you want. Those things that you're holding close to your heart are not the best way to start understanding the creative process. You want to play with it with things that don't matter so much so that you can get really clear on how the process works as it unfolds through you and in front of you, and then start applying it to the things that really matter.
So it's not necessarily going back into your past and fixing beliefs or any of that kind of stuff that a lot of people get stuck in, right?
It's not that when it comes to understanding the creative process, but that is a part of your spiritual development. Now, no, what you just said is correct. If you go to those places and you get stuck there, you're not doing something right. When you go to those places, it's about bringing them into your conscious awareness so they're not hidden, because they are there. And if they are there, they are resonating. And if they are resonating, which each of you know how that experience made you feel when it happened and it was sown as a dominant idea, you have experiences showing up with a level of frequency that make you feel that way, that have been happening for years, right? Either with a high frequency or a low frequency, they continue to show up and they continue to make you feel the same way. And those ideas are keeping you from lifting and maintaining a high vibration. So yes, you do have to do that because that's part of your evolution. But when you do that, it's about bringing those ideas into light. It's about understanding them. And then it's about transforming them. And that doesn't take long to do. You don't go there and then get stuck looking at the problem. It's the same as going and looking at the problem. That's a process also that you can move through. You're not supposed to go and get stuck there.
Exactly. I'd love to bring Abraham in for a channeled message, but before we do, I'm just kind of curious what they think about humanity's current state. There's so much going on in the world, and for many people, it's really hard for them to have a positive outlook because there seemingly is a lot of darkness that's coming up into the light.
Well, and we're here. We're here, and that's an excellent question. But if you're feeling some kind of way about what is happening right now, the challenge is that your attention is off, right? At the same time, the person can say that there's so many negative or low vibrational things going on. At the same time, there's awesome things going on, right? Let's look at your social media. Let's look at what's happening right now on this platform and on this channel and within this interview. How many of these type interactions are happening around the world right at this moment? And how many people are listening? How many people are listening? If you just look at your YouTube, how many people are listening to these type messages? No, it's not on mainstream media, but how many people are listening? Just go to some of these channels and look at the number of views. Look at the subscribers. Millions. Millions. Quietly, this is happening. Quietly, people are waking up. Quietly, you know that you're not the only one waking up, because there are millions listening to these messages, beginning to play and practice. And if they're not about to play and practice, they're at least their awareness is expanded enough to where they're allowing the information to come in. They're interested. They're exploring. Millions. So place your attention there and know that things are happening. Know that more and more light is coming through every day. And that's something to feel good about.
Absolutely. You know, when I first started on my path, like in the 80s, I mean, it was definitely, you know, not mainstream, no spiritual bookstores, or very, very few. I mean, there's so much more available now to everyone when their soul calls them to wake them up.
You're right. There's so much information. I mean, there's information about the many different existences that have been present on your planet, right? This iteration of humanity is not the first. And that information is out there as well. It's fantastic. It's fascinating. The knowledge and the wisdom that those civilizations attained is attainable for humanity now, right? Through the many different explorers, your astral projection, people who have made a lifetime of these things are bringing forth information from previous iterations of humanity that are powerful and to the benefit of humanity now. All accessible through your social media. The planet has shrunk, and you can reach out and touch people on the other side of the world just like that. You can access their knowledge. You can access their understanding that they are achieving. It's powerful. It's beautiful, right? For anyone who is open.
So, Abraham, how can we take those next steps to evolve into our higher, more powerful selves?
So, as we just mentioned, there's so much information out there. And for the person who is just interested in gathering information, is perfect. But if you really want to step into your power, it's about looking inward. You've already hit on it in this conversation. Your vibration, the contents of your mind. Your vibration, the contents of your mind. If you begin to focus on affecting those two things. Now, can you continue to explore the information? Can you continue to explore other civilizations? Can you continue to explore other planets and the history of your planet and all of these things? Sure, but understand that if you want to be powerful as you walk physically and not just remembering the truth of you after you make your transition, begin the play and practice of unraveling the contents of your mind and directly affecting and intending higher vibration, the expression of higher frequency. And if you do these things consistently, you will know that you are on the path, and you will be on the path of opening up the truth of you in source now as you walk. We were working with our private group this past weekend, and the question came up about abundance. And there's an individual in the group who has a challenge with abundance. She has a challenge with the idea of money and its potential of being excessive in individuals' lives. Also, although she is powerfully about the play and practice of cultivating a new mind and elevating her vibration, which she has been for many years. And we didn't have to tell, we told her, let's say that. We told her that you're going to have to come to terms with your ideas around money, because money, a form of abundance, wealth, all of these things, as you lift yourself in vibration, it is going to begin to open itself up to you as a norm, because it is in higher frequency naturally and truthfully. With consistency, all of these things open themselves up to you. In many of your spiritual books, it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven in so many words, and all these things will be opened up to you. This is talking about frequency and vibration. As you affect your mind, as you affect your vibration, reaching for higher, consistently, higher level frequencies have their level dominant ideas. They have thought patterns in relation to that level of frequency. And when you hold a higher level of frequency, even if it's a fraction above what you normally walk around as, those thought patterns, those ideas will at some point begin to release themselves into you. And you will know that you are thinking differently. You will know that you are seeing things differently. And it's the result of having consistently held a higher vibration. And you can keep going, and you can keep going. And there are points where things will start to become natural in your experience as a result of your expressing in higher vibration, in higher frequency. And simultaneously, higher vibration begins to affect lower vibrational ideas that you have been conditioned to. Lower vibration ideas that you have been conditioned to. If you understand the idea of vibration as it affects glass, a very, very high frequency can crack and shatter glass if the vibration, if the frequency is high enough. The same thing happens to the dominant ideas existing now within your mind and body. When you change the foundation, when you change the ground of the garden, i.e., lifting your vibration, old patterns get uncomfortable. They get uncomfortable. They begin to get disrupted. And the more consistent you are expressing higher vibration, those ideas begin to dissolve. Now, they don't just go away. They first bubble themselves up and make themselves known in front of you. Ooh, that idea, I can see that idea doesn't serve me anymore. And that's what lets you know, okay, I need to work with this idea, transform it, and release it, because it doesn't sit with me anymore. It doesn't align. It's not aligned with the vibration that I'm expressing. These are the things that happen, but you have to be consistent in your practice. And higher vibrational truths begin to open themselves up to you. This is what happened with all of your, what you call master teachers that have been on your planet. This is the same process they went through. And they seem like they're so knowledgeable and so wise, but it's because they opened themselves up and with consistency allowed higher vibrational truths to come into their being. And they did it for so long that, yeah, the information that the wisdom that they were able to allow in was above, from your perspective, so far above those that hadn't done the practice. It seemed like they were way up here in their knowledge, but it was the result of their practice, which is the same thing that is available for each of you.
Abraham, if we have a thought that doesn't feel good, then we switch that thought in our mind to something that feels better than the thought that is making us uncomfortable, correct?
It depends on, is the thought a random thought that's just flowing through the mind of humanity that happened to show itself inside of you? Or is it a thought in relationship to a particular intention, a thought that suggests that that intention is not possible for you? right? You can have either one of those. If it's just a random thought, then you just allow it to go through you. I mean, each human being is still connected to the mind of humanity. So you have good random thoughts, you have terrible random thoughts that come through. You just allow them to flow. You don't attach yourself to them. You don't apply any emotion to them. You don't focus on them. But if it's a thought, a low vibrational thought, a negative thought, if you will, that is related to a particular intention that you have, then as a conscious creator, you want to know, okay, what is the root of this thought in me? Because you have no idea how far the shadow was cast of that idea. So you use all of those opportunities to uncover ideas that may be within you that are resisting your intentions, that are resisting the expressions that you are inspired to. And that's a beautiful thing. So many are, when they come in contact with their resistance or inner conflict that reveals itself, and they get mad at it. They get upset with it and all of these things. And what you're really doing is you're communicating to yourself your disdain for yourself because it's you. And all that does is reinforce it in the type of vibration that it was first born in. No, when you become aware of resistance, when you become aware of inner conflict, celebrate it. Wow, that was there. Now I know it's there. That's exciting. That's exciting. Let me look to understand it so that I can transform it. Thank you for revealing yourself. I fully accept that you're here. I fully accept the part of me. I fully accept the part of me that was created based on that experience that sowed the reason why that idea was sown. I fully accept it. I love me. Thank you for this revelation. Now I can work with it to release it and sow a new idea that strengthens me in moving in the direction of my intention. It's always about the energy. It's always about the vibration in which you are looking at things outside of you and in which you are looking at yourself.
So it's almost like we can use our inner state like a barometer to tell us the quality of our thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Everything that you desire, everything that you have ever desired feels good. House, car, job, ice cream, movie, going to the restaurant. You never plan to go to your favorite restaurant and feel bad or have a terrible experience, right? So it's the same thing with every area of life. Any idea that you have, the intent is to feel good. And those ideas that you are inspired to all feel good in the end if you were to physically experience them. So if there's any not feeling good, if there's any not so great feeling or ideas that show up when you are considering an intention, then that's something that is resisting it. And you just need to be aware of that. And the more and the faster you can release resistance, not just for a particular intention, but the faster you are able to release resistance, the more light, the more of your truth you're able to allow through. And organically, when you're doing this, your vibration lifts on its own, the more resistance you release. Because any resistance that you have inside of you is resonating is born of low vibration. So the more resistance you release, the lighter you become naturally.
Do you have any suggestions or exercises to release resistance? Because I think that's a place where many people get tripped up.
One of the things that we can do, and we have a full-blown process that we teach individuals, but one of the things that you can do is to use your imagination and allow your inner being to communicate to you how to do it. It's not something that's really difficult, right? Think about it. Your true nature, your inner being, if you think about something being in levels, this is you here. Then you have your mind and your body that contains the ideas. And then the truth of you exists beyond the mind and the body. And it can see all of these things in front of it through you, your physical expression, into your experiences that are appearing outside of you. So the imagination, so many think that their imagination, they imagine things, they image things, they put things on the screen of your mind, but we want to bring your attention to your dreams. When you sleep and you have a dream, there's images, right? Where do those images come from? Who's placing those images on the screen of your mind into your conscious awareness, even though you sleep? What's your inner being is placing those images there? So what does that mean? That means the imagination is not a one-way screen or a one-way window where you put things on it. It's a two-way window for communication. So when you become aware of resistance, you can ask your inner being in your meditation, in the high vibrational state, show me the resistance at its roots, at its core, so that we can release it. And it will show you that. And then you ask it, because when you do that, you're getting how the idea is represented inside of you. Give you an example. Benny is working on unraveling for himself and for those that listen to him the idea of abundance, right? It's his focus right now, allowing abundance to flow into his experience, because abundance is everywhere right now. It's constantly being expressed by source. So, but it's not being expressed fully in ways that he would like it to in his life. So abundance. For a while, they have the idea of, you focus on the thing and you focus on the thing, you focus on the idea generally. So he had an idea of a certain amount of money. But when he asked his inner being about abundance, there's no specific dollar amount. It's like starburst falling down that represent abundance. It's like a showering of starburst that represents abundance. So what we're saying is that what you think, how you think an idea may be represented in your mind may be different from how it's really represented. And in order to affect it directly and release it, you have to use the language and imagery of which it is represented in your mind and body, and not how you think it's represented. And the best way to do that is to ask your inner being and allow it to communicate to you how it's represented. So you're working in conjunction with yourself. You ask the question, it shows you on the screen of your mind. You see it, you understand it, and then you say, okay, what's the best way to release it at this moment? And then you go with it. It may be blasting it off into space to a point where you know it's never going to return. If you use that imagery that your inner being has shown you, then you directly affect it, right? You're communicating, okay, we're using this imagery. This is the best imagery at the moment. So you use that, you send that idea off to where it cannot return, and in your mind and body, and the feeling of it, it's gone. And then you trust that it's gone. But the core is to ask the question of your inner being, the truth of you, to support you, because it can see all of the ideas. It can see all of the stuff. You can't. But that is where you be excited about the revealing of the resistance. And then know that your imagination is a two-way window. It's not a one-way window where you just put things on there. Your inner being communicates to you through your imagination as well. Use that. Use that. Play with it at first. And then use it to release resistance.
Abraham, is there any final message that you would like to share with us today?
Oh, man. You're powerful. You're powerful. You always have been. Go about the play and practice of being aware of and releasing resistance. You're constantly being inspired to be, do, and have in your life. No one is the same. You're being inspired to things that you enjoy, that you want to try. Follow those inspirations, because they are in alignment with the plan that you set for yourself before you entered into your physical body. In the process of trying to follow your inspirations, the resistance that you have inside of you to those inspirations will reveal themselves. And that's exactly what you want. Begin to release that resistance. And in the releasing of that resistance, you will come to know the truth of you. Every time you do it, a little more light shines through, a little more light shines through. Your vibration lifts a little bit more, and you come to know the truth of you. And it is our goal that you understand the truth of you now as you walk physically, not when you make your transition, but now, so that you can be one who walks around as the brightest light they can imagine and intend, and affect the world from your position wherever you find yourself. And this is without words. This is energetically. Be the brightest light in the store. Be the brightest light in the room. Be the brightest light around your family on holiday, vibrationally. And you're affecting the world. And this is our desire for each of you, to understand that truth of you that is present now beyond the conditioning and beyond the programming. That's what we would say.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Abraham. Before I let you go, I have one more question for you. Benny had shared that he had past lives where he was a channel and his channeling skills opened up in this lifetime. How would you recommend people be able to access the gifts and skills that they developed in past lives?
Many of those skills will begin to open themselves up as they reach for higher vibration. Because humanity has many, many, many tools, skills, if you will, that they're not accessing because of the level of vibration that they find themselves in. Many of you who are on this path and even listen to this interaction now are aware of psychic abilities that are revealing themselves to you, and it's because of your vibration. Now, channeling and those type things, that's the result of vibration also. Vibration, intention, focus. Anybody can channel if they desire to. If you have someone that you've been listening to that you feel a connection with, intend to connect with them in that excitement, in that joy, in that love. Set a time where you are still. Be still, and you have no distractions around you, and intend on the connection. And if your consistency is always the key. If you're consistent with that, it will eventually open up, right? There was the example of a writer, and you will know what he was doing. It was a writer who had a room in his house where he would go in that room to write, and there was nothing in the room but a table, a notepad, and a pen. And he would go in that room and he would sit down for hours. Sometimes he would write nothing. Sometimes he would write everything. But the consistency of placing himself in that position with the sole focus of putting pen to paper is what allowed it, right? And he didn't get upset when he didn't write anything, when nothing came through. But it was awesome when it did. Be consistent. Put yourself in position. Intent. Focus. Connect energetically. Connect vibrationally. And notice in your awareness for the information. Notice in your awareness for what may be opening up to you as a skill or a tool that is pertinent and available and that you're aligned with at this moment in your evolution. And just be aware. But the play and practice of lifting your vibration, releasing resistance, all of these are key in opening up that which is perfect for you at the moment.
And is there such a thing as divine timing?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Divine timing is perfect. For divine timing is happening all the time. All the time. When you see a penny on the ground and you choose to pick it up or not, that's divine timing. You didn't have to see it, right? When you meet a stranger and have a beautiful conversation, or you're out or you're in a different state, you're on vacation in a completely different state or a different country, and you meet someone from your hometown. That's divine time. Because think about it, 1 minute earlier or 1 minute later, you would not have met. It's happening all the time. The collaborative components that are present and that are in love, supporting you to create experience, you come together perfectly and precisely with divine timing all the time. This is always happening. And it's not just happening for good things. It's happening perfectly and precisely for everything in alignment with that which you are expressing, that which you're expressing vibrationally, that which you are coupling that with your mentality and your dominant ideas to create experience. It's happening all the time.
Thank you so much, Abraham. Can we have Benny back?
Absolutely. We're here. And we'll just say that we are thankful for this opportunity to share and support your listeners and those who are following you. We're excited for you and the platform that you're building, allowing the opportunity for those who listen to expand and evolve and to grow in their journey. We thank you for your efforts, and we look forward to the next time that we can support you and your listeners in this capacity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. So, Benny, that was really interesting. I'm curious, how much information do you retain as the channel?
Some of it I remember, but now I make sure that I stay out of the way and don't think about it. If I try to think about it, I'll mess with the connection. So even though I'm here and I can start talking in between, but I would mess with the connection if I did that. And so I kind of let them come through. I've already done some stuff today, and so that's why it seemed really clean when we started. But a lot of times, if I hadn't done anything earlier today, it would start off slow as far as the conversation, and the flow of it wouldn't be as clean, but then you could hear it get cleaner as I allow them to come through and I get out of the way. But because I've already been going, it started really, really clean in the beginning, but I stay out of the way of it.
It's wonderful. How can people learn more about your work, Benny?
We offer private sessions, we do workshops and all those things, but what we tell people is to grab the free things first. There's a training. If you go to www.iamthediscourse.com, there's a free training there where that training goes over who you are, what you're capable of, and why you don't know it already, what's kept you from knowing that to this point. That's in that training, very powerful. And then there's a full presentation at www.accelerated-evolution.com where we discuss the 3 attention shifts that you have to make sure you're working at your foundation, at your core. And then at the end of that presentation, we go over what our private community is about. So you can check those out. And once you check those out, you're connected to us and you'll get information about other opportunities to connect and to go further. Yeah, but it's exciting. Anyone who's if you're inspired, connect and we'll support you on this path.
And one final question for you, Benny. How has this relationship you've developed with Abraham and this skill of channeling, how has that changed your life?
It's changed it dramatically. And actually, I tell you what, because I try to do so much offering outward, I don't access them personally as much as I should. I have people ask me, and I'm like, no, I haven't actually asked them that personal question because I do so much. It's like when I'm not doing stuff or these type interviews, I'm not really communicating with them, but I want to do more of that. But as far as change, it's interesting because I'm passionate about knowing who I really am. And that's kind of been the driver. And I didn't mention that before, but the question after I had the out-of-body experience, the question that I asked was, okay, so if there's more and I'm not my body and there's more going on, which I know now, then what control and power do I have in it over my life? That's all I want to know, basically. And that's kind of been the guidepost for me since 2006, because there is so much information out there. You really need like a North Star to keep you focused in a certain position, because you can get out there in so many different positions, but not affecting your life in the way that you could. That's how it's affected me. It's helped me to stay focused on realizing the truth of me and trying to be that as much as I can in every area of my life, so that I can describe what it looks like to people who come and look for us to support them in that manner. I want to be able to describe, this is where you are, this is where we're going, and because I may be a little bit in front of you, these are the pitfalls, these are the things that you're going to come in contact with, but this is what it's going to look like as you move through. This is where you're going. And that's my focus, is to try to be that person that can describe the process. Well, that's the problem. Most we don't know what's next, and so it's kind of spooky and scary, and it's slow. We get slowed down, and we get stuck in all these things. But it doesn't have to be. You can move through it, and so that's what drives me.
Wonderful, Benny. It's been an absolute pleasure having you and Abraham here with us today.
Yeah, it's been exciting. Thank you for having us on.
And thank you for listening to this week's edition of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. You will find all of our conversations on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Come visit me at thoughtchange.com, pick up your copy of Learning to Listen, and we will see you again next time. Bye for now.